Hello everyone, this is Theodore from Ocean Liner Topic, soon to be named Voyage of Discovery. But once I'm able to change it, it's going to stay Ocean Liner Topic until I'm able to change it. Today, we're talking in this video about the third-class passengers aboard the RMS Titanic, what they ate, how they lived. So during the voyage of the RMS Titanic, passengers had a world of luxury. Titanic's third-class passengers had more luxury than any ship at the time of her completion. So, she was the most luxurious and biggest ship ever built at the time of her completion. Let's start with third class I was talking about. The third class accommodations on the RMS Titanic were basic and modest. So basically, some rooms were basic, some of them were pretty modest. But they were located in the noisy lower decks. They were located in noisy lower decks of the Titanic. In the front and the back. So basically at the bow, which is right here, the bow, and the stern. Some of them were located here in the middle, at the lower decks, by the water line. The water line is basically the red paint job on the bottom, but still. The cabs were individual with closed, but many passengers had to share with complete strangers. So basically, some of the cabins had complete strangers they had to sleep with. Some of the people had complete strangers they had to sleep with. There's two different beds they had to sleep in. One stranger will sleep in one, and the person that was staying there, or the other passenger was staying in the other. They'll sleep in the other. But let's talk about the size. There was cabins that slept 2 to 10 people, with the most having 2 to 6 berths. Basically, each bed, for example, there's 2 berths with 2 beds in it, and then there's 6 berths with 4 different beds. So, let's talk about the amenities for the third-class passengers aboard the RMS Titanic. The cabins were paneled white pine, so, as you know, white pine is pretty strong, and had a salmon pink linoleum floor. So, they had a linoleum floor that was colored salmon pink. The families and the single women were located in the stern, right here. The families were located here in the middle, at the hull, and the single men were located here in the bow. So since I'm a single man, I would be located here in the bow of the Titanic. But the single men and women, and the families had wash basins. For men like me, single men like me, they only had straw mattresses and blankets. No wash basins. Let's talk about the facilities for third class on board the RMS Titanic. There were only 2 baths on board the RMS Titanic that supposedly seated 700 passengers. So there was 2 baths for all the 700 passengers. So many didn't get to take baths. So many of them stunk. Ain't gonna go there, but still. For nowadays, we would say they stunk. But for third-class passengers, fresh water was located in the wall tanks in their cabins. So basically, stewards had to come in and manually fill the water tanks with water, fresh water. So location of these cabins and these amenities, single men, like I said, were here in the bow. I'm a single man, I'll be here in the bow. The families were located here in the stern, or not in the stern, the hull, middle hull, and the single woman located here in the stern. Sorry, that was my Titanic I was telling you guys about, but still. And let's talk about the privacies on board. The cabins were individual, but they had many passengers share with strangers. Like I talked earlier, they had share with strangers. So some of the privacy, they had to wait till the other passenger left to get the privacy and needed to change and everything. And then the other passenger came in and the one that's already dressed went out before they could change. But let's talk about the noise aboard those rooms in the RMS Titanic. The cabins were located near the stern. So like the female cabins were located in the stern, like I showed you earlier. The female cabins that were located here in the stern. The family's cabins were located here in the middle. And single men like me were located here in the bow. But the single women had the worst of it, because they had to prone the vibration and noise from the engines. So let's start talking about the food that they were served in breakfast and stuff like that. Let's start now. The cabins, so they had porridge for breakfast. They had porridge, milk, smoked herring, jack potatoes, ham and eggs, fresh bread and butter, marmalade, Swiss Swedish bread, tea, and coffee. The North Coast breakfast started at 8 a.m. and went on until 9 a.m. So that was an hour worth of breakfast eaten for 700 third-class passengers. Let's go for lunch, or also known as dinner, because dinner was early and it was considered both lunch and dinner. Called they're basically luncheon. So dinner, they had rice soup, fresh bread and cabin biscuits, roast beef, brown gravy, sweet corn, boiled potatoes, plum pudding, sweet sauce, fruit. So they had all that for lunch, basically lunch and dinner. Basically lunch and dinner at the same time. So the tea, as it was called, but dinner. So basically it was called dinner/lunch. So they had the time for it was 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. So they had that 4 hours worth of lunch and dinner for 700 third-class passengers. Let's go to the tea, which was also called dinner. So, like I said, basically lunch was called dinner, but they had another set of which is basically a snack, but they called dinner as well. But tea, as also nickname, was tea. They had tea, cold meat, cheese and pickles, and fresh bread and butter, stewed figs and rice, and the drink they had was tea. And the time for that was midday. So they had it around, I would say, 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock, if they didn't want to eat the luncheon. So let's go to supper. Supper was called the cabin snack. So basically, for supper, they had cereal, gruel, cabin biscuits, and cheese. The time they had that was 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. at night for 700 third-class passengers. So, what did you guys think? Was this a good video? If you like to learn more, please like and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one.